In 2013, 9 of the 10 classic races to be run in England and Ireland were won by Irish-bred horses. For generations, Ireland has been a centre of equine excellence as far as racing is concerned. But just why is it so successful? Well, we've come here to the Emerald Isle to find out.
I would like to be champion trainer one day.
Very competitive racing, and if they can show up here at a good level, they can show up anywhere.
Horsemanship is seen as a valued skill here in society.
If you can concentrate on quality, that's what it's all about.
Sheikh Hamdan came here in 1982, deciding that Ireland was the place to raise the young horses.
Balanchine strides away to win the Budweiser Irish Derby under Flaggy Dettori.
And it's Galileo powering away to complete the Anglo-Irish double.
And Trading Leather and Kevin Manning win the Derby for Jim and Jackie Bulger. Galileo.
First stop on any visit to Ireland always has to be the Curragh, where racing is recorded as having taken place as far back as 1727. On our visit, though, it was pretty quiet. But of course we couldn't come to Ireland without paying a visit to this place. It's the Curragh, the home of Irish flat racing, and also home to all 5 Irish classics. There's an amazing sense of history about the place, and of course if you look through the record books, such brilliant horses as Shergar, Sea the Stars have all raced here, and of course more recently Blue Bunting and Dawn Approach. It's a brilliant track, and we had to come and have a look around. As well as being the centre of racing, the Curragh Plain also provides over 70 miles of grass gallops and 20 miles of peak gallops. Maintained all year round, they are used every day by more than 50 trainers in charge of some 1,000 horses. In short, it's an equine hub of activity. People with long memories will remember that back in 1989, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed owned the Irish Derby winner. His name was Old Vic, and after the success, His Highness decided to donate a gallop in that horse's name to the Curragh training facilities. This is that gallop, it's called the Old Vic, and it stretches 9 furlongs up the hill here, and it's a really good test of stamina. Sadly, Old Vic himself died in 2011, but as you can see, his legacy lives on.
Novelist wins in the hands of Johnny Murtagh.
And Belder Creasy will win it for jockey trainer Johnny Murtagh.
But it's going to be another Group 1 for Johnny Murtagh.
One of the handlers who makes daily use of the Curragh is one of the newest, jockey-turned-trainer Johnny Murtagh, who is currently enjoying a great season under both codes. His new yard is just a short drive from the gallops. We'll get on to the training in a bit, Johnny, but we must congratulate you on what has been a great season for you in the saddle, possibly better than you expected?
Yes, definitely. You know, this year I started off, I didn't know how the riding was going to go. I was concentrating a bit on the training side of it. Up until Royal Ascot, things were going pretty slow, but since then, it's really gone better than I could have expected. It's gone really well, and I'm back in demand. People want me for the big races. I was leading rider at Ascot, and I think that just showed everybody that I was fit and, you know, hungry for winners, and I was still riding well. So as long as you're riding well, people still want you.
There's been a lot of talk on Twitter from a few of the trainers over in Britain saying you are their number one go-to person, to ride their horses. That must be a nice feeling when people hold you in that sort of esteem. It
is, yeah. It's when you get the name of being a big race rider, it does help, because when a horse comes free, you're the first name on the list, and it's great. But when you get on them, you have to win, and luckily this year things have gone very well, and I've won a few of the big races, getting great support, probably more so in England than I am in Ireland, but it's been great. It's been a great season for me, and hopefully now I can keep it going till the end of the year.
Which leads me to ask, when things are going so well with the riding, why did you choose now to start up training?
Well, I was heavily involved last year with Tommy Camberley, who was training out with this yard, and we got a big owner, Andrew Tinkler, came over and supported the yard, and it started off kind of small, just to see how it would work. I was always keen to see how the training side of things worked, and how I would fit into that. I just went from strength to strength, and this year Andrew sent a lot of his horses over here. He had great success last year. He sent all his good horses over here this year, and in May I applied for the trainer's licence, because there was a lot of talk going around that I was involved and I was doing this and I was doing that, and I didn't want to kind of be any way underhand, or people kind of assuming this was going on or that was going on. So I applied for the trainer's course. I'd done the trainer's course. I got my licence in May, and I decided to go with both licence training and being a jockey, and that's how it came about. And at the start, people were saying I was mad, and I questioned myself at times, but thankfully it's gone very well, and the training side of it has been very successful also.
I was going to ask, what was the reaction of perhaps some of the other jockeys in the weighing room? Because I think my initial reaction was one of surprise.
Well, the jockeys were kind of supportive. I mean, they were kind of keen to see how it went, because I don't think many have tried it before, and I can't recall anybody. A lot of them were saying, "Geez, you're mad. You should be still riding." But I didn't really know. I didn't have a stable behind me. I didn't know who I was going to get rides from, and didn't know if I was going to get any rides. So I thought this was the next logical step. But as I said, since Ascot, the riding is back as strong as ever, and I've got a good team of people around me here, and I delegate well to all of them. I trust them, and when I'm not here, I know everything's been done to the standard that I expect, and I think that's all you have to do. I've good riders, I have good people looking after the horses, and as I said, when I'm in England riding on a Saturday, I know things are going very smoothly back here.
I was going to ask how you divide up your time, because obviously being a jockey very much a full-time job, but is that very much you've got people here that you can just say you know what to do, and you can go off and fully concentrate on the riding?
Yeah, well, I'm not riding every day now. I'm kind of riding kind of the big days, or kind of mostly at the weekends. The big race meetings in England are on a Saturday, so I can concentrate in England on the Saturday and then back to Ireland on the Sunday. So it's working very well. I'm keeping very busy around the yard. It's like I start at 6 in the morning, we finish at 12:30, and so it's pretty active. It's keeping me weight down, it's keeping me busy, and then we come back in the evenings here at 3:30. We're finished at 5:15. So it's full on. It's keeping my mind active. It's keeping me very busy, and as I said, I can concentrate on the big days now, because usually people ring you up early in the week, so you're preparing early in the week for the big day. So I find it's a help. I'm preparing maybe 3 or 4 days before the big races, and turn up on the big day, and I'm very fresh and I'm very well, and it's been working so well so far. I don't think I'll change it.
Is the downside perhaps that maybe if something doesn't go to plan on one of your horses that you've trained and ridden, that you sort of doubly blame yourself?
It is, yeah. It's probably a little bit more nerve-wracking when you're riding for yourself. It's definitely more nerve-wracking watching it, someone else riding it. But I suppose I take it as training them is up until they go to the races. But then I very quickly switch into jockey mode, and I don't do anything different than I've always did. I just try and ride them well, put them in a good position, give them the best chance of winning. And whether I'm training them or anybody else is training them, I take over as a jockey as soon as I get on their back. But you do, when they run bad, you're questioning, I wonder what happened there, should I have done this, should I have done that? And then of course you come back and you have to see them for the rest of the week, so you can't just close the door or jump off them, that's it. You have to come home and see, and I can see now why trainers really like their horses, and they don't like jockeys giving out about their horses, because you're with them 24/7. You get to see what they like and what they don't like, and you find out the little secrets being with them all the time, especially feeding them at night. I feed them at night there at 9:30 every night, so that's a great time to find out how they are and what they like and what they don't like. And they usually do the same things all the time. And if they don't, then you kind of question, I wonder why you didn't do that today, or I wonder why you didn't do this, But it's a great experience for me, and as I said, it's challenging, but I'm enjoying it.
Where do you think your strengths lie as a trainer? Does part of it come from your experience in the saddle?
Well, I've been with the best trainers around the world. I've ridden for John Ox for many years. I worked with Aidan O'Brien. I worked with Michael Stout. I've been with Mike de Kock. I worked with John Sadler in Dubai. So I've seen the great trainers and how they train, and they get the horses fit, they prepare them well, they feed them well, they look after them, and then when they turn up on the races, there's no excuse. So it's I suppose my strength is that I've been around a lot, and I've always asked a lot of questions, and thankfully they've told me, if I ring up anybody or ask anybody now a question, they tell you what they think is going to happen, but it's so different every day, and I think also I'm riding them work, I can pick out the races pretty good for them. I'm riding them work myself, and you can pick the races for them then. Or if you ride them in if you ride them at the races, you can come back and say, well, he might be better in Dundalk, or this one might be better on softer ground. And I always thought I was good at doing that anyway, because I was always telling trainers you should put them in here, or try this or try that. But now I don't have to tell them, I can go and do it myself now.
Yeah, I guess that would take the pressure off. But when you announced that you were going to start training, then the pressure was really on, because your first runners, I think, was Fort Knox.
Yeah, he won the Guineas trial when Andrew owned him, and then Sheikh Mohammed and his team came in and bought him, and they left him with us. So we were really excited about having my first runner in a race was the Irish 2000 Guineas as a trainer. Unfortunately, it didn't all work out. It was kind of fairy tale stuff. I was hoping it could happen. Fort Knox is a lovely horse. He just probably wants soft ground. He ran last week again. The ground was probably on the faster than ideal for him. So I think he's going to be a good horse in the autumn there when the ground turns up soft. He goes on heavy also. So, that's where his strengths lie.
It must have been nice to have a boost and get such a high-profile owner as Sheikh Mohammed straight away.
It was, and he's got one with us, and hopefully, as I said, this horse can do well, and we might get a few more. But I said, I've ridden for lots of great people over the years, and the owners I've ridden for, as I said, now that I have the licence in my name, I'll be going and ask them, would they mind supporting me as a trainer?
And of course, your biggest owner is Andrew Tinkler, and he's really come into racing in a massive way, and he's given you a lot of support.
He has. He started off to have 5 here. We had 5 horses here for the Dundalk season, and we had great luck, and then it moved up to 11. And by the end of last year, we had 16 horses here, and we had 25% strike rate, won 400,000 prize money. And like Andrew's a figures man, so we looked at the figures and he says, gee, they look good. So he sent us over. We had 33 horses here owned by him this year, and it seems to be going well. He sees the prize money in Ireland, which is it's much better than it is in England. The travelling is not so much either. We don't have to travel that far. And as I said, if we want to bring a horse over to run in England, he's got a fabulous Stobart lorry. He just brings it over, picks them up here, brings them over to the race over there. So, they're travelling in first class. So it's he has Ireland as a base at the moment, and hopefully he'll continue.
And one of his best horses is Royal Diamond, been a star for you. What are the plans for him later on this year?
I really fancied him going to the Irish St Leger, but for some reason he just didn't run to his form. He might have been a couple of pounds below his form on the day. Mightn't have beaten the winner, because she was very, very, very impressive winner. Maybe the long distance race in Ascot. So he's got, probably one more race before the year is out. But very consistent this year. Won 2 races. Been placed in all his other runs. So he's a wonderful horse, and we had a good time with him in Dubai last year, and maybe he could go back there for the long distance race this year.
I was going to ask if we might see you at the carnival, either as a jockey or a trainer.
Well, hopefully you'll see me as a jockey, but I don't know if we've too many to go as a trainer. We've a couple of horses there that's, like Campanology, Sweet Lightning, Royal Diamond. Who knows, maybe Fort Knox might go there, although the ground might be a little bit on the quick side from. But we've a couple of horses up there rated high enough to go. And sure, like when you look at the prize money, the carnival itself, if we don't go for the carnival, maybe we can turn up on World Cup night and get some of that big prize money.
Are you the sort of trainer who's very much thinking internationally, not just Dubai, but looking at other targets for your horses?
I would, yeah. I would, and I'd know the standard and the strength of the races that you'd have to, the strength of the horses that you'd have to bring to those different places. So yeah, no, I'd be looking at all the big races. I'd be pretty ambitious. I'd be aiming my horses high. You know what I mean? I mightn't be as ambitious as Clive Britton, but I'd be in the same kind of mode. You know what I mean? 16, 20 to 1 put me off. If I thought if they were going well at home and they had a good shot. I wouldn't travel them if they had no hope, but if I thought they had a shot, I'd run them and take a chance.
You've started out, as you say, with a manageable band, but are you hoping to expand, have a lot more in?
Yeah, well, listen, I would like to be champion trainer one day. That's the starting place for me. That's when I get up in the morning, that's what I want to do. I want to train Group 1 horses. When they come in here, they're all Group 1 horses. They're all treated like Group 1 horses. Realistically, they're not all going to make it. But I have a great belief, if a horse is rated 80, he should be running to 80. If you consistently run to 80, if a horse has potential to go higher, we should be able to get as much much out of that horse as we can. Every bit of we can give him help we can to reach that potential. That's what we have to do. As I said, we're hoping we have room for 31 here at the moment. we're building 24 more boxes, so by the time I finish we'll have room for 55. So if I could have 55 horses starting next year, it would be a great second year as a trainer. And as I say, we've
Irish breds around the world have represented Ireland at the highest level. I suppose one of the standout results in recent years was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Irish bred horses that filled the first 7 places in the Melbourne Cup last year. And it's results like that I think that really highlight that for a small nation like Ireland, we really punch above our weight and we're able to match any jurisdiction in the world. Ireland's the 4th largest producer of thoroughbred foals in the world and the largest producer of foals in Europe. So it's stats like that I think that make us really stand out.
But what are the reasons for it? Why is Ireland so successful? Is it the grass, or is it the expertise?
Well, absolutely. The rain that we often get certainly helps the grass, and I suppose most of our soil is limestone based, so that's perfect for young horses growing up. It helps with the bones, the strengthening process for young horses at such an early stage. But I suppose also with Ireland, there's always been a real affinity with horses and thoroughbred horses with Irish people. So for generations and generations, Irish people have grown up with horses, and the skills and the talent from horsemen and women from many years ago have been passed on through the generations. And I think that again really shows, not only here in Ireland, but if we go to Dubai or if we go to America or Australia, so often you'll see Irish people in positions of high authority working with horses at the highest level, and again passing on those skills.
Years, many group cross. Starting with one of Dali's most successful young sires. Shamadal behind us, he's a good place to start, isn't he?
Yeah, he's our most expensive stallion at the moment. He's 50,000 euros this year. He has a really good year. He's been a great success at stud. Hit the ground running. Great crop of 2-year-olds to begin with, and he's multiple Group 1 winners and winning all over the world. He's not only a success in Europe, but he's got one of the top horses in Australia at the moment as well.
Yeah, Puissant Saloon, favourite for the Melbourne Cup. That'd be a nice one to get, wouldn't it, if he manages to win that?
Absolutely, and he's gone in there with a favourite's chance. He looks like a very, very good horse and getting better with age.
And Shamadal was pretty much an instant hit, wasn't he, at stud, and he's still only a young horse.
Yeah, instant hit, young horse, and just a lot of class. And he's got a very good Godolphin 2-year-old this year, Itamal. She's an electric filly. So she looks like, if she continues to progress now, she could be champion filly, or certainly we're hoping she is.
And you've also got one of his sons at stud now, Casamento. That must be pretty nice.
Yeah, I think that is the sign that the stallion is succeeding when he starts having sons at stud. He's got Lope de Vega at stud here in Ireland already, but Casamento was Group 1 winner, won the Racing Post Trophy, and now at stud and hugely popular. He's actually, in terms of mares cover, our most popular stallion in 2013. So he bred 175 mares, so he's going to have a really good chance when his foals come and start running.
And what's Shamadal's temperament like? Because we've kept him in a couple of minutes this morning, but he seems absolutely fine, just walking around quite happily.
Very, very laid back. He was a good, strong horse when he was running, and it's the same. These stallions. They like the routine. You don't vary that. But no, he's a very straightforward horse.
He's quite distinctive, isn't he? Certainly in his face.
Yeah, he is. He's distinctive. There is a certain look to them. They're brawny. They're strong, well muscled. But I think the fact that he can get good 2-year-olds, good 3-year-olds, and good older horses, it says a lot about a stallion. They're not. That just shows that he gets a variety of physical types as well.
And what is his routine like for him and the other stallions here on a sort of day-to-day basis? His
routine: he is stabled at night and then out in his paddock from 8 o'clock in the morning, and comes in probably at 2 in the afternoon. During the breeding season, they breed 3 times a day, which is 7 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. So they're the 3 different time slots that we have. So, but they're in at night time, and that's as much for security reasons, I think, just so they can be watched at night and out by day, and they're just keeping that routine 12 months of the year.
But it's going to be Ravens Pass to win it. Ravens Pass and Frankie Dettori have won the Classic.
The next horse we're going to have a look at is Ravens Pass, Breeders' Cup Classic winner, no less. Not often you find one of those at stud in Ireland.
No, it's not, and we were delighted to get him, and he's a personal favourite of mine. He's just drop dead gorgeous, a beautiful horse, lovely horse to be around. When he won the Breeders' Cup Classic and the decision was made to retire him, his father, Elusive Quality, is a Darley stallion in America. So I think with that in mind, I thought, maybe let's send his son to Europe. And Elusive Quality himself has had a lot of success in Europe, and his sons have had success in Europe. So he came to Kildangan and he's been with us, and he's off to a very good start.
Yeah, Steeler was probably one of his best winners so far. It's such a tough horse.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was one of the fancies for the Epsom Derby this year. Didn't get to run in it, but he's had he's had some good runners in Dubai as well. They seem suited to Dubai conditions. So I think he's had smaller crops than some of our other stallions. He's had some physical problems in his first few years at stud, which limited his buck size. So he's got to battle that with smaller crop numbers to run. But the ones that run, they've shown class and ability. So I think he's a horse we're going to be hearing more about in the future.
Yeah, I remember Lovely Pass winning for him in a slightly enigmatic way, but she's since then, you say, she went over to Meydan, did really well, and she's improved.
Absolutely, and I think he's the sort of horse now to watch out for at Meydan. Just whatever it is about Dubai, and they seem to go well there. So let's hope in the coming seasons we'll be seeing more and more Ravens Pass winners.
Is it the synthetic thing, do you think? Because he won his Breeders' Cup Classic on synthetic.
Exactly, and that was probably it as well. Whereas he won the Santa Anita on the synthetic there, and that was probably closer to a turf surface maybe than a dirt surface, and so that probably is part of it, all right.
And what's he like to deal with on a daily basis?
We think he's half human. He is just a beautiful horse. He's mild-mannered, very straightforward. He's I think all the guys that work here.
The sire of such...
He was the first of the Darley stallions when we really got commercial about our stallion operation. The first Darley stallion to cover big bucks, so he was champion first season sire. But he did what a lot of stallions find very difficult to do, is progress from that winner getting mode to being a superstar stallion. For him to sire a Ouija board, we thought, well, he had sired one of the all-time greats, and then within a couple of years he sires See the Stars as well. You're thinking two of the greatest racehorses of the last 50 years, both sired by Cape Cross, and he's been immensely popular with us, and owners love him, breeders that sell love him, but the people who love the Cape Crosses most are trainers, because they try their heart out every single time they run, no matter what class of race they're in. They're trying, they're doing their best to win. I always say, if there's a photo finish and there's a Cape Cross in there, you can it's going to be the Cape Cross we get there, because they want to win, they want to please, and that's what makes him so popular. So the people who breed to him come back year on year, and every year he's covered full book of mares, and he's the senior citizen here now in some ways, but I think we'll have lots more years to go on him. He's strong, he's healthy, he's fertile, and the UAE ambassador to Ireland opened it here on August 16th. It's great development for us. We're not open to the public. It's a privately owned stud owned by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, but we do get a lot of visitors that come here, people who are interested in horses, people who own horses, and so every week of the year we have people coming to visit, and we thought it was important to have an environment where people could come and see where it all fits together, the history of this property, but also the history of Sheikh Mohammed's involvement in the thoroughbred sport, both here in Ireland and internationally, and how it all links back then to Dubai. So it tells a story. It's been very popular since we opened it, and I think it's going to be a big asset to us in terms of just explaining to people what we do and why we do it.
You were telling me earlier that Sheikh Mohammed bought this stud in 1986. Why did he choose Ireland, do you think, to base his bloodstock?
He identified at an early stage that Ireland was a very good country for raising young horses. That's for a lot of reasons. It's a temperate climate. We've got grass that grows here 12 months of the year, but also horsemanship is seen as a valued skill here in society. Going back hundreds of years, people love working with horses. It's a skill that's passed from one generation to the next, and so we've got. If you look at the history of the success of Darley-owned horses and also Godolphin horses, so many of them have been raised here on Irish farms. So he saw Ireland as a place to do that, and he identified Kildangan as probably one of the most historic and successful stud farms here for the previous century, and bought it in '86, and it now is our main stud here in Ireland. But we've got 7 studs altogether, and Kildangan is the headquarters.
And just looking around here, I kind of feel like I could be in Dubai, because there's so many trophies here that I recognise from Nat Al Shiba.
If you look at a horse like Dubai Millennium, who was probably the most famous Godolphin horse since they started, just how he fits into the international story. He was conceived in America. He was born at Sheikh Mohammed's farm in England, came here as a foal and was raised in Ireland for probably 14 months until he was a yearling, and then went from here to race for Godolphin and raced successfully in several different countries, including winning that historic Dubai World Cup. So it just shows how it all fits together. It's an international organisation, but everybody does feel part of the same team. And when Sheikh Mohammed has raced
part of the history.
Absolutely, and it's a nice situation to be in. We're actually running out of space in this board, which shows how successful we are at raising horses, but also how successful Godolphin are in training them and racing them. Dubai Millennium, it's a chronological board, but just as it works out, he's centre stage here. What a fantastic representative for everything that Sheikh Mohammed has done in the thoroughbred game. One of the greatest racehorses of all time. Unfortunately, he died after a year at stud, and it was such a tragic loss. But as things happened in the thoroughbred game, within a couple of years, his son Dubawi, who was raised here in Ireland, was a Group 1 winning 2-year-old, won the Irish Guineas, and then retired to stud, and now he is our most successful stallion. He stands at Dalham Hall stud. So you see, we've got a son of Dubai Millennium who's carrying on the tradition. Belletto was born in the UAE, and at a time when we had some stallions and some mares over there, Sheikh Mohammed says we can do it in UAE, and as with everything else he does, it was a successful experiment. Belletto, born in UAE, went on to win a Grade 1 race in America, so great representative, and by doing that she flies the UAE flag internationally, and she's now a broodmare in the Darley Broodmare Band. And a horse like Street Cry, another great representative for us, Godolphin horse, who is now a stallion at our farm in America. So these horses, it's all part of a tapestry of racing. It goes back to the early days of Sheikh Mohammed's involvement, and as I say, in the coming years, it won't be long before this board is full and we're having to put another one up on the wall.
Before we say goodbye to Kildangan, there was something of a bonus in store in the form of a visit to 1998 Derby winner High Rise, who is enjoying his retirement at the stud. Now 18 years old, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum's stallion looked the picture of health in his spacious paddock. From Kildangan, we travelled to nearby Copper Beach stables, the home of Darley stallion Casamento during his racing days. The purpose-built yard belongs to trainer Mick Halford, who has been a Maidan regular in recent years. Successful in the past with the likes of Maidan sprint winner Invincible Ash, Mick is already planning a raid on the 2014 Dubai World Cup Carnival.
I love Maidan, it's easy to enjoy it, terrific facility, people are looked after really, really well, and our owners enjoy it also, and it's wonderful. We look forward to it every year.
And dear old Invincible Ash, I think, came out, was it 3 carnivals that she travelled out for?
Yeah, she did indeed. She was a great servant. She absolutely loved Maidan, loved the sun on her back, and she used to thrive out there, and we had some great days with her.
And she's now gone off to be a broodmare, I understand.
She's indeed. She travelled on to America last year after the carnival. She headed over to be covered in America, and she's due back to Ireland any day soon.
Talk a bit about the facilities you've got here, because we saw your gallops. You've got everything to yourself, basically.
Yeah, we've a self-contained place here. As I say, it's all modern, designed it ourselves. So it was great to get a greenfield site and to be able to plan it from scratch. So we've 100 stables, swimming pools, spas. We've 2 gallops, 2 artificial surfaces, sand and fibre gallop, circular, and then we've a wood chip gallop, which is a slight climb on it, 6.5 furlongs, and we've also got 4 furlongs of grass gallops. So we've everything here. We don't need to go anywhere, and it's wonderful to have everything under the one roof and have the privacy and have everything here. So it's been working well for us.
Let's talk about some of the stars, because Russian Soul was a horse I loved at Maidan. So consistent. He's actually come home and won a couple of times.
Yeah, he's been a wonderful servant to us this year. He won a listed race, and there at the weekend he won a Group 3, deservedly so, at the Curragh. As you say, he found his way well out in Dubai, loved the sun on his back, and although he never won, he ran some wonderful races in defeat.
And are we going to see him at the 2014 Carnival, do you think?
Yeah, he's resting up at the minute. He's in now the paddock there now, and he'll have a nice break. We'll freshen him up, and then all roads lead to Maidan.
And he's a sprinter, but Surtrack's a good stayer. Might we see him next year?
Yeah, the plan is to run him, or to go back there again with him. He had a good carnival as well, picked up an injury just before World Cup night, so he had a long rest, and ran back in the Irish End Ledger the other day. I was happy with him given his long break, and the plan now is get another run or 2 into him, and he'll go back to Maidan as well.
And Banner Burke is one we know really well. I think, is it 3 carnivals he's done as well now? 2 or 3?
He's been a great old servant. He won his race this year when he came home as well, and he's having a break at present, and the plan is to go back with him. And he was only beaten a nose, I think, one night last year, so he loves it out there.
Why do you think it is with the horses coming back from Maidan that they often do win when they come back? Is it fitness? Is it the sun?
I think it's the sun. You know, I think horses, the facilities are world class out there. The weather has a lot to do with it, but also the facilities, and the horses get a lot of attention. They get a lot of one-to-one attention, and they really feel special, I think, when they come home from there. And I always find that it just brings them on for some reason. But they're like ourselves, sun on their back and plenty of good minding. Why wouldn't you do well?
And you've been advertising on your cap today, Casamento, your first Group 1 winner. I mean, that must have been a tremendous year you had with him.
It was indeed, yeah. It was a wonderful thrill. He was the first horse in the first batch that we got for Sheikh Mohammed, and we were thrilled to get him, and then for him to turn out apprentice centres just in Kildare, which is just beside us. They every year supply us with budding apprentices coming on. So over the years we've been lucky, as you say. Tygo Shea has been with us, Rory Cleary, and Gary Carroll, Shane Foley. So Shane has stayed on with us as first jockey, and it's just gone so well for him. Terrific jockey, great stable jockey, works very hard and knows.
Yeah, it's great. It's our own.
it's private, so that's always a big help, you know, if to share gallops or anything like that. So that's good.
And you've got an enviable record in Dubai, a winner every year that you've targeted Maidan. So it's obviously something that you're getting pretty good at.
Well, we're very lucky. We've some good owners, and you know they give us the right type of horses, and we have the right type of horse to come over with. You need progressive horses, and that's what they were anyway. And but we targeted from a good bit off. We're always at the sales. Dubai is always in the back of our minds when we're looking for horses, younger horses.
And because you worked out there for such a long time, that must have helped you in terms of knowing the sort of horse you need and the conditions you'll be racing under.
Yeah, we're very lucky. Worked for something like 7 years for Kieran McLaughlin and a couple of years for Doug Watson, and so we got a great grounding. Got to see what it was all like, and always fancied having runners out there, and was lucky enough to have good ones for the 3 years that we were there. So it was great.
You say you target it a long time off. We're in September now, and you've got a pretty good idea of what you might be bringing out.
Yeah, we're starting to pull it together now. We've Elaval will go back. It's very good program for him. We've been very light with him during the year here, because even on World Cup night last year, from that night, we actually planned to run very little in Ireland and bring him back. Prize money's so good, and it's a place obviously he handles the Tapeta very good, and he handles fast turf, so it's perfect for him. And he's had a good break, and you know, so he was beaten ahead in the Group 3 there a week ago, and so he'll be in back.
And Nocturne Lafair, a horse you've done really well with, could he be coming back out?
He could. He wasn't running that great earlier on this season. We found a little problem. Thankfully, I think we sorted that out. He was very unlucky the other day in a Group 3. Although it was a blanket finish, he didn't get any run at all, and he finished pretty much on the bridle. And you know, he'll have 2 more options to see his well-being, and if he does show up in either of those 2, yes, he could be an option to go back, because again, there's a good program for him. You know, he's rated 100. He's well into the handicaps, and he progressed there well two seasons ago.
And He's No Saint is a new name perhaps for our viewers, but he's another one you're considering.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. He's owned by the same Damien Lavelle and his family who own Elaval. So we bought him in Newmarket. Nice horse, and he was second, and he's made first time out, and then he stepped up again, and he was second, beaten very much like Elaval, beaten just on the line on Champion Stakes Day in a very hot maiden. So you know, handicappers have him a mid-90s horse now. I know there's a good bit of improvement left in him, so you know, if he progresses again, he'll probably run the listed race next, and he's definitely one with the Elaval route in mind that Elaval did last year.
It'd be good to see the Lavelles back out, because they were incredibly enthusiastic, and a real addition, I thought, to the owners' the owners' ranks. Yeah,
they're great. I mean, they're funny. You know, we don't have many Irish owners here, and they love the game, and there's a whole family of them, and they got great thrill out of going out to Dubai. You know, they went out, you know, I'd say 3 or 4 times last year. A couple of, you know, they had a win. Second on World Cup night was, you know, big night out for a cheap horse. I mean, Elaval was £35,000 horse. He's No Saint is a 38 grand horse. You know, so it shows you that you don't have to buy very, very expensive horse to get out there. You can, you know, but they've had great time with it.
We can't talk about your owners without mentioning Mali Al-Basti, because he's been a big supporter of the yard, and Dandy Boy, what a wonderful horse he's been.
He's been great. He's been a great servant. I think he still holds the track record out there. So we're very fortunate to have Mali. You know, and Dandy's been a great horse from day one. He's won at Royal Ascot, Victoria Cup in Ascot, Maidan, Ireland. You know, so he's really flown the flag for us.
You've also got a horse for Saeed Al-Tayr, Zalti, I noticed. He's a bit distinctive, isn't he? Only got 1.5 ears.
Yes, his mother had a row with him as a foal, so he's got a half ear. But he's a nice horse. He won in his only race last year. We were hoping that he might progress to a horse that could get out to Maidan. So far he hasn't just yet, but he was impressive early on in the year. He won well at Leopardstown, as well as on his second run back as a 3-year-old. And you know, he's a little bit slow maturing, and I think he could be one as a 4-year-old to come out. You know, once he just toughens up, we'll see. But and again, great to have the patronage of, you know, say Mr. Al-Tayr, you know, and the likes of Mali as well. You know, so it's very important for the yard.
And you've had a good season this year, and Boom the Groom is one of them who's really sort of flown the flag for you. What are the plans for him?
Plans are fluid at the moment because he's a top of the ground horse. He won his maiden very well first time out, and then he's listed place, and he was unlucky not to be second in a Group 3 race on his third run. Lovely horse. You know, the 2-year-olds are a nice bunch now. You know, we definitely have a nice bunch of 2-year-olds, but you just can't have enough of them. You know, we'd like to have more horses, but you know, we're not. We only have 35 horses here at the height of the season, but you know, they're a good bunch of 35 horses. If, you know, they get us to go places, and so we have a nice bunch.
And you've made your name, well, you might disagree with me, I think you've made your name on these international raids, done really well over in England, winning a Victoria Cup and a couple of Portlands, and in Dubai as well. Why is it, do you think, that you're so good at targeting these races elsewhere?
I don't know. I think that we've been very fortunate, but you know, when you have a good horse and when you have a horse that can win races, you're never afraid to go anywhere. You know, the horses here in Ireland, racing is so competitive. You know, if they can run to a high level here, they can run to a high level anywhere. You know, and I think bringing them to the UK for the big races, or bringing them to Maidan or wherever, you know, and if we have a horse good enough to travel, you know, we'll definitely travel.
We've had a good look around the yard this morning. Your wife Mel has taken us up to the gallops. It seems quite relaxed. Is that the way you run things?
It's very relaxed. It's we're not very hard on the horses at home, hence we feel that they improve as they get older, and you know, we're not very hard on the 2-year-olds, so they you know, as they develop into late 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, they get better and better. And you know, we like to have the place. It's still it's a relatively small yard. It's family run, and we have some great staff here. You know, mostly Irish people, and you know, very good riders, and they're all horsemen.
And we touched on the facilities. You say you own all of this. You've got your own gallops, a swimming pool. You've got everything you need. Yeah, we have everything we need on site here. Yeah. You know, I think the more complicated you make it, the more complicated it gets. So at the end of the day, we look after them well. They feed them well. You know, they get the right amount of galloping without overdoing it, and you know, you just get them fit and good to go, and then you target the races. So what's your sort of aim the next sort of 5-6 years for the yard? Is it to get the numbers up, or more winners?
To get the numbers up and to get the quality up. We don't want to have too many horses that haven't got the ability. We basically want to keep bringing it up slowly. I mean, I only started off, we're training 7 years. We had 6 horses here 7 years ago, so it is increasing, but it's slowly increasing. But yes, you need owners. You need owners to go and help you buy horses at the yearling sales, and get the horses that we want, that we like, you know, in around the place. And once you can get that, you know, we're very confident we can compete. But it's trying to get those horses in.
I mean, you've certainly shown you can compete, but was it quite daunting setting up here? You know, you've got Aidan O'Brien to compete with, Jim Bolger, the really big guys.
Yeah, it is, but at the same time, they're the best trainers in the world, and you know, you can't be afraid of them. You got to take them on. At the end of the day, it's the horse who, you know, it's the horse's ability. So you got to keep trying, and they're a good.
The autumn sales to see how they do, and obviously to see how they race next year as 2-year-olds. Of what the boss has here at Ballygorn, some look really precocious. We're hoping that we have some nice 2-year-olds for him amongst those, and fingers crossed. It's a nice time when you have a first season stallion starting out. Like, they can be anything.
Tamayers, sire of Morecambe Stakes winner Brown Sugar, was another to come out and show off. And show off, he certainly did.
His eldest cropper, now 3 years old, and he's had a very good time to date. We're hoping to keep up the momentum. He had a very good 2-year-old last year in his first season, Sir Prancelot, which was trained by Richard Hannon. Unfortunately, at the end of the season, he sustained an injury and he was retired, and he's at stud actually only a few miles from where we're standing. And again, Richard Hannon has come up with a very nice 2-year-old this year by Tommy. It's called Brown Sugar, who's to date has won 2 stakes races, and hopefully he may be a horse that might take his chance in the Middle Park later in October.
Next up, we were shown some of the Derrinstown broodmare band, starting with none other than 1,000 guineas winner Natagora, who was purchased privately by Sheikh Hamdan. She has a filly foal by Dubawi and is in foal to resident stallion Tamayaz. The foals thrive in the tranquil surroundings at Derrinstown, whose owner identified it as the perfect place to raise young stock.
Right now we're in County Kildare, and it was chosen by both Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan and Sheikh Maktoum to, in the 80s, Sheikh Hamdan came here in 1982, deciding that Ireland was the place to raise the young horses, in particular because in Kildare and obviously counties like Tipperary and Meath, the limestone is particularly good, but in Kildare it's extremely good. With you have also very good water. The other factor was good horse people. Irish people they've grown up and lived with horses all their lives, so they're good people to have working with young stock, to educate them and raise them to a standard that obviously Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan expect. So that is partly the reason. The climate is also a factor, because we don't get extreme winters, we don't get extreme summers. So from mid-spring, the yearlings can live out like 24 hours, have their feed in the paddocks with them, but they actually live and get the benefit of all the good grass, and hence all the minerals that are in the good Irish soil.
Our next stop was at the yearling yard, where some extremely well-bred young ladies came out to strut their stuff, including the first foal out of Irish 1,000 guineas winner Bethra. A daughter of Juddmonte stallion Dan Zilly, this distinctive youngster is bred in the purple and surely has a bright future.
The one that was leading the group of 4 is a particularly nice filly by Dan Silly out of Betra, who won the Group 1 Irish 1,000 guineas for Sheikh Hamdan, and he particularly liked this filly when he saw her earlier this year, so again, fingers crossed, we're hoping for big things from her.
And how often would Sheikh Hamdan come and visit? Is he very hands-on with the stud?
Very, and he really enjoys to see the yearlings in the spring. He thinks end of April up to mid-May is a good time to see them, just as the spring grass is getting going and they're beginning to grow. And then he likes to come back to Derrinstown in the autumn, which is usually about 6 months from his first visit, and see how they've developed. And at that time then he likes to decide who and where they should be in training, whether it be here in Ireland, in England or in France, and he usually has that sort of decided.
We couldn't leave Ireland